Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Astrology Insights. We'll talk today about the sign Gemini, which is the third sign in the zodiac. Welcome, Vincent.
Thanks.
Um, I'd start off with what I know about Geminis, and
Mhm.
then I'd like to, to just like um, get confirmation or not. Maybe I'm wrong. Geminis, in my opinion, are I tend to surround myself a lot with Geminis, actually.
Mhm.
Gemini energy. My dad has his sun sign in Gemini. Friends or people that I hang out with a lot are Geminis. Maybe the reason of that is because, well, I'm Sagittarius as a sun and descendant, so and it's like kind of the
Yes,
opposite,
exactly. It's the exact opposite.
which I thought was funny. Like
Yeah,
I feel that like we're opposite. They can be opposite energies, and you
yeah,
can also learn a lot.
yeah. Opposites reinforce each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I feel
Mhm.
with surrounding myself with Gemini energy. I feel that they're super communicative, fast thinking, very good with words, creative also with words. They are very curious, in my opinion, which is nice. I think they are very nice qualities. And yeah, that's kind of like my impression about
Mhm.
Geminis.
Yeah.
Am I in the right direction here?
Yes,
What
you are.
could you add something more to that?
Sure, but
Yeah.
these are. This is a very good description of Gemini qualities. Very much in general, Gemini energy is outward moving, what I call representing energy or quality. You might also say an interface quality or um, energy. Um, so it's basically bringing something from one place to the other, and especially representing something. I know this sounds very abstract, but it's, as I said before, it's not just psychological types, it's also the energy of certain phenomena. Like, for example, traffic is also a typical Gemini um, phenomenon,
Mm.
going from one place to the other. And especially traffic as a whole, the whole of traffic. It's just all these movements.
Mm.
It's kind of like what's going on in the brain of a typical Gemini person.
Mm.
A lot of traffic,
Mm.
a lot of going from this direction and that direction. Um, and also economical transactions, economical traffic. That's also bringing value from one place to the other, especially also this as a whole, all the transactions in the whole of the market. It's very much a Gemini phenomenon.
I I'd like to add something to that.
Mhm.
I get Gemini energy overall. I feel that they're very good negotiators as well. Like,
Mhm.
does it have to do with this value and traffic, or also because they tend to switch and can like like
Yeah,
switch minds and just like know
yeah,
what the other person is thinking, or at least try to understand.
yeah. I'd say that Gemini are certainly good negotiators. I'd say the same goes for Libra, which is
Yeah.
a related air sign. Air signs are, in any case, very good communicators.
Mm.
And in the case of Gemini, it has to do, I think, with their fast thinking processes.
Mm.
Any fast process where representations are involved, like symbols, is Gemini in energy. And the thing is also with typical Gemini energy, I'm not speaking specifically about Gemini people, but just in a pure sense, the Gemini energy connects. It does not relate, it connects.
Ah.
So it connects to people without relating to people. It connects thoughts, it connects customs, it connects values. Journalism, for example, is like an embodiment of Gemini energy. Journalism, in you might say the pure sense, is just bringing the news. It doesn't have to be objective. There's a tendency for Gemini to be objective, but the most important thing for Gemini energy is just to bring stuff from one place to the other. Objective or subjective. Gemini energy just wants to move things, especially representations of value, representations of symbols, thoughts, or whatever, in terms of also stories or narratives or perceptions from one place to the other. Images also. So in that sense, you mentioned curiosity is very much a very typical Gemini quality, and also liveliness, a certain lightheartedness. There's a lightness in Gemini energy because there's no, complicated emotions, heavy feelings. That's all absent in pure Gemini energy. Not speaking about Gemini people, but in Gemini energy. This lightness. On a deeper level, Gemini energy has to do with beliefs. Because beliefs, your belief system, is like an interface between your deepest core energy and the world around you. So Gemini energy carries in itself the potential to become conscious of your beliefs and even to change them or to work with them. Like for example, neurolinguistic programming or other techniques are very much Gemini techniques or approaches. Working with belief systems also has to do with this. And another I find interesting example of Gemini energy is motility, the ability to move your body. Some people are very good at that. Other people are sort of clumsy. When you're very good at that and it sort of seems easy and light, you have somehow Gemini energy, even if people wouldn't consider you a typical Gemini person in this sense, because also your motility, your ability to move in a sort of smooth way, is the ability to move yourself from one place to the other, to be part of the traffic, or to be a part of life in general. Your motility is like an interface also between your core energy and the world around you, but then in a physical sense, not in a symbolic sense. I already mentioned some positive qualities about Gemini, like curiosity, lightheartedness, the ability to connect to everybody. Also funny. It's because they're funny because they're lighthearted, and funny because they can make crazy connections. Their typical Gemini energy is a super fast thinker. And super fast thinkers can have really funny thoughts. So that's a very Gemini, just fun and humor is also Gemini quality. In some cases, knowledgeable in the sense of knowing a little about a lot.
Yeah,
that's typical Gemini way of knowledge. Negative Gemini qualities can be superficial, either emotionally superficial or in terms of knowledge superficial. Negative is also being amoral. So not immoral, but just too neutral for what circumstances might demand, actually. But that's a negative expression of Gemini energy.
Could you name an example of being amoral?
Well, take the example of a journalist. For example, a photographer doing war. Some photographers have been criticized for taking a picture instead of helping in situations where most people would have helped. Really devastating, heartbreaking situations. And they just are looking, okay, the picture like this, and then make the ideal award-winning picture. That's an example of being amoral. It's not bad, but given the circumstances, most people would have done something else, would have taken a moral stance, which is, for example, helping. But that's not the strongest part in Gemini. Um, Gemini energy, in a negative sense, can also be double-hearted, or split in itself. So there can be, that's in a negative sense. There can be other intentions or a hidden part. It can be very dualistic, Gemini energy. And another negative expression of Gemini energy is restlessness. That's a very typical one, being restless, ungrounded. They have to do with each other. And for some people, lacking vision or lacking an opinion, it's also related to this being amoral. Anything goes, in a sense. These are very often considered negative Gemini qualities.
I made a lot of connections here.
Good.
Also ones that I didn't know before.
Okay.
So that's nice. And so with that being said, this was the episode on Gemini energy. And our next episode will be about the fourth sign in the zodiac, which is Cancer.
Yes.